Hello! Today's stories come from r/IDontWorkHereLady. We have 4 funny Reddit stories today. Our first has a man in the women's dressing room with a measuring tape. It is and isn't what you're probably thinking. Story 1 is titled Tale of the Tape. Some background. I am a registered nurse. When I graduated, it was unusual for men, especially young men, to be nurses. Being a registered nurse plays into this tale. Over 20 years ago, I was on a trip with my wife from Tampa to Orlando. On the way, we passed an outlet mall where she saw signage for a shop specializing in bras. Made the comment that she could use a few new ones, so we stopped. She grabbed a few to try on. After trying them on, she said that they didn't feel right. I went up to a very bored employee and borrowed her tape measure. When I returned to the outer room of the dressing room, I proceeded to use those skills I learned during my obstetrics rotation about how to measure correctly for a bra. I paid very close attention during that lecture in lab. I discovered that my wife was wearing the wrong size. Of course, I went off and found a number of bras in her size to try on, including daily, sports, and a spicy one or two. She was very vocal about telling me how much better these fit and felt. While I was standing there waiting, while still holding the tape measure, I was approached by a woman approximately mid-40s. We'll call her lady number 1. She very quietly asked if I would measure her, as she was thinking she was wearing the wrong size. Asked a few questions and learned that she was having back and shoulder pain as well. Had her step into the dressing room, and when she was ready, keep her back to me. With her placing the tape, I obtained measurements, and off I went. Measurements did not correspond to the size she was wearing. A few minutes later, I returned with about a dozen different styles in her size. She was also very vocal in the fact that they fit and felt better. By this time, my wife was dressed and ready to head to the checkout. As we headed towards the checkout, I was stopped by another woman, we'll call her lady number 2, with questions about which bra type would be better for her. After a brief discussion, she walked away to go look. We finally get to the counter to check out, and the first lady arrived right behind us. The look on her face when I handed back the tape measure was priceless. She stuttered, "Don't you work here?" At the same time, lady number 2 walked up. Both of their jaws hit the floor when I responded that I didn't. The look on the employee's face was one of confusion. Not another word was said as we finished paying and left. As I was getting in the car, looked back in the store. Both women were still staring like deer in the headlights. My wife and I still laugh about it. Edit. Since it's been suggested that I was mistaken for an employee, I was wearing shorts, a tank top, and flip-flops. No way did I look at all professional. In the comments, Bookaholic said, "You did a good thing for those ladies, and I am so very happy to know that there's at least one man in the world who knows about bra measurements." All teeth smiling emoji. Starkiller shared, "My dad worked in a bra factory. He had to fit bras sometimes. He'd always complain about it when he got home." Ace of Nations added, "If I had to fit bras, I'd be sure to complain about it if my wife was within earshot." Wink. I love that OP's wife was totally down with OP not only sizing other women for bras, but also going ahead and grabbing a bunch of styles to try. She must be super awesome. As a girl, I do know this to be a thing, so I looked it up. Full disclosure, this isn't fact-checked, but estimates of the percentage of women wearing an ill-fitted bra are as high as 80%. Recognizing this story was from a while ago, I still think OP was doing a public service. Our second story is short, but showcases the ignorance of some people out there. I talked about it in some comments last month and was asked to read it. So here it is. Story 2 is titled, Nobody Works Here, Lady, Most Especially Not the Moose. My friends went hiking in the woods recently. They parked at the unmanned trailhead where another car was already parked. As they got out of their car, a woman started walking rapidly toward them, demanding, "Where are the moose? They're supposed to be moose. I looked it up on the internet." As if my friends, as locals, are somehow responsible for stalking the woods and can tell her the moose public appearance schedule. One of them tried to explain to this crazy lady that moose don't often lounge around out in the open, especially not this time of year. It is the rut and start of hunting season. He suggested that if she wanted to get a sense of the size of the beasts, she should check with the local game warden and maybe see a fresh kill. She finally marched back to her car, still muttering to herself that there are supposed to be moose, and drove off. My My friend stood there in stunned silence for a moment and then burst out laughing before starting their hike. I'm told it was a gorgeous day and they couldn't help but feel sorry for this strange lady. She couldn't appreciate the natural beauty around her because she can't grasp the difference between a petting zoo and an area of natural habitation. Katie Jack joked, "She's the kind of person that gets confused when animals jaywalk across the road. Silly deer, you're supposed to cross at the deer crossing sign." Ocean Poet noted, "Moose are really aggressive too." OP replied, "This time of year the bulls are at their most aggressive. Even in summer, when they aren't particularly rowdy, they might collide with a moving vehicle just because an animal that size isn't used to yielding to anything." Gotta love it when people think nature is there for their consumption. Hilarious comments, though, especially the deer crossing one, which some of you probably know refers to a famous 2012 radio show call-in from Fargo, North Dakota, where a woman thought the city got to set where deer crossed based on where they placed the sign. It's only a few minutes long and really funny. Link is in the description. Our third story comes from the land of chocolate and schnitzel. Combine at your own risk. Story 3 is titled, "I am the train operator, sir." Insert obligatory English not first language and on mobile excuse here. This happened a few months ago during the €9 ticket era. For those of you not familiar with it, here in Germany, we had a ticket valid for all public transportations for 3 months after the gas prices exploded due to the war in the Ukraine. €9 for a month worth of transportation via bus and trains. Needless to say, our trains were up to their limits. This occasion was no different. The train I previously operated was late due to the amount of passengers at each station along with technical difficulties. Doors had malfunctions. Our trains have a safety mechanism where we can't take off until the computer received the electric signal that the doors are shut. Easy fix, but doing it at every station due to people leaning against it sucks. So I was about 5 minutes late for the next trains I had to take over. As I rushed over to get to said train, I noticed it was full to its limits too. The problem is, we can only get into the operator cabin by going through the passenger cabin. After a long sigh, I pushed the little green button at the door to get in. A wall of passengers greeted me with annoyed and angry looks. The following conversation, not verbatim but close enough, ensued. Note, I was wearing my full uniform along with my orange high-visibility vest. Me is me, AG is angry guy. Excuse me, I need to get in. Train's full, take the next one. No can do, this train isn't going anywhere without me in it. Not getting the hint. Train's full, get lost. Sir, I mean it, let me in or this train stays here. Still not getting it and now yelling, screw you, take the next train, this one's full, now go away before I break your nose. At this point, I looked at him and give a nod, stepping back from the train and calling my dispatcher. His word, well, if you are still there in 30 minutes, I will mark the train as out of service. 5 more minutes went by with me standing outside the train before the door opened. An angry guy looked out calling me. He probably finally noticed my uniform. I stepped over. Hey, the operator isn't here. Where is he? Oh, he is here. Where? The cabin is empty. I am the operator, sir. Why the heck didn't you say that? Sir, I told you the train isn't going anywhere without me. Plus, after you threatened me, I didn't feel comfortable talking to you anymore. Now, if you would kindly step out along with all the people in front of the cabin door so I can get in and we can take off, I would appreciate it. He didn't say anything else. He and about 12 other people had to step out. I finally got in, and we left the station with a 13-minute delay. Edit. To clarify a few things. This wasn't in Berlin. It was in a more rural area here in Germany. It wasn't with the Deutsche Bahn, but a smaller company. Was it petty? Yes. Honestly, for 3 months straight, we dealt with all kinds of people. Being yelled at constantly, it took a toll on all of us. Was it a jerk move? Maybe. Unprofessional? No. I am not required to tell people who I am. I wore my uniform, identifying me as a member of my company. Rules dictate that passengers have to follow orders given by all members of staff, be it operators or service or maintenance staff. Once the threat was spoken, I wasn't required to talk to that angry guy at all. Did I get in trouble? No. Company is on my side. In the comments, Reddit turned on OP. Monodine said, or you could have avoided all the drama and told the guy, because I'm the operator, sir, right at the beginning. Oh, sorry, now I get it. Avoided all the drama. Werewolf Calm shared, I found it odd that Angry Guy felt it necessary to police the train's capacity. But OP comes off as smug by not pointing to or mentioning the uniform. OP defends this in an edit that they aren't required to identify, yet the resolution described was that he identified himself. I don't have time for this. I need to get this train moving. Can you move out of my way so I can get to the control room? Instead, OP played a semantic game that was likely designed to not give your legal name to include stating they were an employee as part of the policy to not have to identify themselves. Brown Doggum replied, and did it well. It's not Ada, but Angry Guy is the jerk. Was OP smug? Yeah. But he also said that the yelling started to wear on everyone. Notice also that the dispatcher fully supported the train not moving. Sounds like it was utter mayhem. They were having to deal with all sorts of crazy, and nobody should have to deal with that level of rudeness. Our fourth story isn't an I Don't Work Here Lady story, but since the sub has been a bit short on Karens lately, I dipped into Entitled People to find that demonic clawed form of a Karen in a retail store. Story 4 is titled, But That's False Advertising. We don't negotiate with bullies. We've done something close to $200,000 in sales in the last 2 days. The weather turned to trash, and suddenly people are clamoring for new inside furniture. That 15-year-old couch isn't as comfortable as before when you've spent all summer and most of this month out barbecuing, enjoying the outdoors on the new outdoor stuff you bought last year. Due to excess inventory, we have a lot of small bedside tables marked down, but it's only one color, like kind of a natural pine color. Beautiful warm tones. They're $100. Clearly labeled clearance. To help move inventory, we're taking extra discounts on these items. The tags that you bring to the counter are different colors, and the items themselves are also emblazoned with huge, yellow, clearance, price as marked signs. No way to mistake that one is clearance over the other. Lady brings up a tag to my cashier. We've hired some seasonals, and the kid working the counter is super cool, super respectful. Great kid. She brings up the tag for a non-clearance table from one of our arrangements in the back. Its original tag price is listed as $400, but it's on sale for $200. Pretty killer deal if you ask me. She asks for a price check, insists it's a clearance tag. Like aggressively insists. She plucked the tag for this cherry bedside table off a clearance item, and it should be $75. He scans the tag, politely informs the customer that the tag isn't ringing clearance and that it's $200. She immediately screams that that's wrong. He apologizes and says that they're the pine tables and clearly marked with red tags and yellow clearance tags, and that the table she plucked is for a cherry table. Not clearance, but still a great deal. She demanded a manager, stating that nowhere on anything did it say it was strictly for the pine tables. I walk over and check it out. She's got the tag for a cherry table sitting there and demands that it was tagged clearance. I ask her what section she got the tag from. She answers the big section of end tables in the back of the store. So I say, yeah, so that's typically extras section pushed against the back of the wall. We have some smaller sets and tables back there since we have a lot of clearance ones. Unfortunately, the cherry ones aren't part of the clearance, just the pine. That's not right. You have all these tables marked as clearance. The signs aren't specific for the pine ones. This one is clearance. I want this one for the $100. Your signs are misleading. Nowhere does it say anywhere on the signs that it's specific to the pine. I saw this cherry one, and it's clearance. I'm sorry, I have all the clearance tables marked clearance. They have yellow signs and red tags. Again, I'd be happy to get you a clearance table, but they're pine, not cherry. Well, I'm a marketing manager, and this is wrong. The signs don't indicate the pine ones. This is false advertising. I'm going to post all over your corporate website. I'm going to post it all over the internet about your unfair business practices. And you are welcome to do so. Again, I'm so sorry, but the item you picked is not clearance. Clearance is clearly marked with giant yellow signs and red tags. I'm happy to sell it to you if you'd still like it, but I cannot mark a $400 table on sale for $200 down to $75. It's $200. If you'd like to swap it for a pine one for $75, we can do that. Your choice. I had to walk away at that point. I've been doing this a long time, and I know that this particular customer would continue to argue with me, and seeing as I set the dang display myself, we would get nowhere. I literally left the choice in the customer's hands. I wasn't rude and I wasn't aggressive. I was pretty polite and understanding. But when you threaten me with corporate or complaints, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But essentially, the negotiation ends. I don't reward aggressive and unkind behavior, especially when you come guns a-blazing at my team. I always have their backs. My leaders running the store know this, and they back me up. They know I'm never unkind and always offer a fair solution to a customer, and leave it in the customer's hands. Ultimately, the customer left the cherry table but purchased her replica Tiffany lamp and left. Oh, classic. I happened to be fixing something up front and her receipt printed with the survey on the bottom. I encouraged her to fill out the survey with her dissatisfaction about the signage. Corporate absolutely wants to know if the way they want the signage isn't clear. They ultimately make those calls, not me. I ended up emailing my contacts, including my boss and their boss, with the situation. I let the young cashier read it before I sent it to make sure I had everything above board and the situation wasn't misrepresented. Though a couple cashiers pointed out after I walked away and after I'd sent that email that she called me a birch tree and told my cashier to never end up like their boss. Ironically enough, my team also had my back and thought I was being fair by offering to swap for the pine ones. They couldn't understand how someone could be so obtuse as to assume that every side table was clearance, since clearance is always heavily marked down and clearly, sometimes annoyingly excessively, labeled. OP stuck around to reply in the comments. Thanev Kador said, "Oh, she wasn't being obtuse. She was trying to con the sales clerk into giving her the cherry table for the pine table price. She knew exactly what she was doing." OP replied, "Oh, I 110% believe that. She wasn't mad at him. She was mad that I wouldn't give her her way. She even said, 'Oh, don't worry about it, you young person. You're doing great. You've been so nice and helpful. Just make sure you stay like this and never end up like that birth tree manager of yours,' when I was out of earshot." Vertool said, "Illiteracy makes for a lot of false advertising issues, apparently." OP replied, "It's just selective reading and comprehension at that point." As if the cherry wood ever be on sale. A marketing manager should know that the most popular products aren't typically put on clearance. But I'm pretty sure we all know she isn't actually a marketing manager. Oh, Karen, you outed yourself. If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.